Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Gamecast. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gass, joined by Mike Sneedy
What's up?
and Tony Korkanakis.
Oi.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners and viewers. We're live right now on Twitch, Tuesday night, starting at 8 o'clock. If you're watching us on YouTube, though, we have all the content there, so that's great. If you're not watching us on YouTube, we're over there with everything. So you can go on over there, subscribe, and get notified when we post, and you can go check out the older episodes. A couple of playthroughs from Mike's stuff over there for his scary games. You can check those out. Yeah. Welcome, folks, to this episode. So what have we been up to? I did not get to play Veilguard, but I will say that I got to play a nominated, as we'll get into this year. We have the Game of the Year to talk about tonight. What's it called? Oh, I got it. I did play another game called Balatro. Did I spell it? Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
Balatro.
I've
So
heard it. Yeah.
yeah. So everybody's talked about this year. And I've heard about it before, and then I saw it nominated for Game of the Year on the Game Awards, which we'll talk about again, previewing one of them. I was like, you know what, it's time. It's on Apple Arcade, and I forgot that you go back to subscription services, Tony, as we were talking about the movie. Forget what you have, and I'm like, oh, I can play this game for free. So I got that, and I've been playing it the last 2 days, and it's so strangely addictive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know it's a roguelike game,
But
I know what it is, but I'm just like, I don't understand why I keep like sitting down like, oh man, I just gotta try another run. Run. Like, I thought I was beating like the boss, but I'm like, I wasn't even close apparently. I was at the 10,000 ante guy, and I'm like, I crushed him. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm like, oh, there's more, and I'm like, oh crap. And my setup was definitely burned at that point. So I made it to the boss after him, and I never got done with that one. But I also screwed my play. Oh, it's so annoying. Like roguelikes, this is it. When you just screw up your run and you're just like, oh, it's a wipe. It's a freaking wipe. And it's like, I can't believe I'm talking about this with a card game, playing poker.
Yeah, I think I saw it on sale from like Amazon or something, so I might pick it up physically. They have a copy. But
yeah,
the biggest comparison I've seen is to Slay the Spire, which I loved years ago when that first came out. And kind of the same thing, but it's more like it's like a deck builder RPG almost. Where it's like, hey, you pick a class, and that class has different builds. Like, kind of like you're building like a magic deck as you go. It's like, oh, you defeated this, and like you get a card. You defeat this, you can upgrade a card, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just so fun because like first level you get to the boss, and 99% of the time you meet that first boss, and he's gonna crush you. It's gonna be like, fuck you. You're like, you don't know how to build your fucking deck. And you're like, okay, cool. And then once you beat the first boss, you go to the second world. And you're like, oh my god, all these enemies are way harder. And you get to the second boss, and the second boss crushes you. And it's that grind of like, oh, okay, I'm getting better. I'm learning nuances of it. And at some point, it just flips it upside down. You're like,
the funny part is like with this game, and for those not wondering what this is, it's a poker game, a card building with the roguelike where you gain you gain power-ups throughout the entire run. And you can add like add-on cards. Joker cards are your bonus multipliers, and you have to get to a certain score to beat the cards. Like you have to beat the mini bosses to the boss, and each boss has its own stipulation. What's that?
So are the rules the same as poker, but there's like extra shit?
The rules are the same as poker for the base point of the game, but then there's multipliers like for jokers. So like you have to get to a certain amount of chips to beat the boss. Like for instance, 10,000, right? And let's say a straight's worth like whatever the cards' faces are. So like ace is worth 11, kings and queens and jacks are worth 10. And then the face value of the cards. That's all you're getting on chips if you play them. And then you get bonuses for, like I said, jokers can multiply things multiple times up in the top. You can have like up to 5, or you can pay for more expansion slots. Like I said, at the end of each round, you get to spend cash you earn during the game by how fast you finish the rounds and how efficient. You get more cash. And you can spend them to either upgrade your deck or add more jokers or add like potions, like power-ups that you can give your cards during the game. And that's the loop of it. And like it's hard because you can see what's happening. Like you can see the small blind, big blind. If you played poker, you know what I'm talking about. Small blind, big blind. But then there's the boss, and you can see ahead, so you know the stipulation sort of that's coming. But until you see it, you're like, oh, that's what that means. Okay, like it like the first boss, the big boss at the end, the one I got stuck on the first time was when you play him. Most of the time, it's just like you can't play like diamonds against this guy or can't play any spades against this guy. So that's fine. But the first big boss was if you played a card, your next draw is face down. So it's like you don't know what the cards are behind it. It's like until you see that, I'm like, I didn't know what that meant until I played the hand, and I'm like, I drew 5 cards face down. I'm like, wait, what do I have? And so you could, yeah, you have to balance discards and draws, and it's really, and I, basically I just burned him down. That's how I beat him the second time. The second time I got to him, and then the last boss was even worse. It was like, if you had played cards, which you can read ahead again, if you had played cards in the last round, they're not playable here. So you have to be careful about what you played in the round 4 ahead of him. Like for poker, that's hard to do, because if I pick up a full house, I'm like, oh, I got this, done. But you may have just, wow, I shouldn't have wasted the full house because I could have used it in my other, because those cards are gone. So it's a cool balancing thing, and that's why this is up for Game of the Year, and I see it. Like, it's really cool. So
Do you think that this would be better if there were character cards and not just traditional poker, or is the poker just in there so everyone knows the rules already?
I think it makes it more familiar for everybody to jump into it. If it's character based, you won't get the same draw. Like, you get poker players in this game that will play it and not realize what they're doing, but then you'll get gamers like us that will play it and understand what's, you know what I mean? So it's like, you get everybody.
Like, that was like going back to my Slay the Spire example. Like, this sounds so much like Slay the Spire, just a different face coat of paint or something like that. Like, I know, like, anybody that played Magic or Hearthstone or something like that, it was so easy to sell them on Slay the Spire. But if you weren't into the games like that, and I'm like, hey, you ever like playing card games? You want to play a deck building card game roguelike? They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I understood 2 words there. Like, it's just like the I guess the hurdle or the barrier to entry is like previous card game knowledge, where it's like that can vary. Whereas poker, it's like most people know how to play.
Most people
poker.
know, like, a full house. You know what that is.
Yeah.
It's like universal. So 4 of a kind, you know what those are. So it makes the pickup easier, and because you're worried about other rules besides your poker card hand. Like, you're thinking about many other things. So it's cool. It's a cool little thing.
Nice.
All right, that's it for me though. Tony.
So I managed to beat Astrobot completely, dominated 100% platinum.
I heard the ending was crazy, right? The ending was crazy. Like, to beat it, right? Wasn't it hard? Or was it not that hard?
What do you mean, like the main story, or you talk about like the?
Yeah, I thought the main story. I was like watching videos of people, like, the timing between the jumps and the glides was like pretty hard. Am I wrong about that?
No, so like
levels.
It's kind of like Mario in that, like, if you're just beating the story, like the main last level it's mostly a victory lap, really. It's just kind of like, it's a glorified 5-minute interactive cutscene almost. That felt, to me at least, out of place. I won't spoil it, but I was just like, really? Like, this is the last stage? Okay. But the last boss is kind of like, again, like a Bowser situation, stuff like that. But like a Mario game, like, the true unlockable final level was challenging. But it kind of felt a little cheap challenging, because, like, I'm trying to explain it. And now that I've 100% of the game and everything that it's had to offer, including the DLC that's out so far, I will say it's a fantastic game. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to convince anyone that it's not a great game.
It's up for Game of the Year.
But
we're getting to
go on. But having played it all now, I can see, for me personally, where the gaps are, where I would like to see changes or improvements in a sequel or a refinement. Because to me, like, the reason I love 3D Mario games is that usually his base moveset is just kind of like, hey, easy to learn and tough to master, right? In terms of, like, triple jump, long jump, wall jump. In Odyssey, you had the cap you could throw out, and then if you landed on the cap, it bounced you up. Like, watching speedruns of Mario 64, Sunshine, and Odyssey are crazy. I don't know if you guys have ever done that. Like, you see people play this, and you're like, holy shit, like, you just break open these games. In Astrobot, that's not possible, because your moveset is so limited. And it's not necessarily, like, a bad thing, right? Because it makes it more digestible for a wider audience, right? Where, like, it's like, hey, have you ever played a platformer? No? Okay, well, we'll play Astrobot. Like, the skill ceiling is very low. So, like, you can plan your levels around that. And that's fine and all. But, like, for me, I definitely wanted more of, like, hey, like, you really want to master Astrobot's movements and physics and all that stuff? Like, too bad. You already did that in the first level. Like, you're not going to get much complexity after that. So, to make the game harder then, they really have to throw these things at you that are, like, feel almost cheap in a way. Where, like, there's these enemies that, it's so stupid. They do, what I want to say? They're kind of like an Octorok from Zelda, right? Where it's just, all they do is they throw a little projectile at you. And an Astrobot, one hit kills you. So, like, they ask you to do this platform where it's like, jump, run, and then use a wall run up, like vertical climb. And it's like, but we're going to put one enemy Octorok at the top, and if you don't hit him first, he's going to just shoot you. And I'm just like, okay, like, you got me because I didn't see that, right? Because I'm running and I'm just trying to like anticipate what you're going to throw at me.
Almost not possible to pass it unless you know.
Right. So, and that's fine, but like, I'm just like, it got a little frustrating because, and especially the last level, there's no checkpoints. So it was really just kind of like repetition, like trial and error. Like, okay, I know. All right, I died to this. Now I just fucked up because my timing's off. Okay, now I'm getting tilted because it's like, that didn't hit me clearly, and stuff like that. Which, again, don't get me wrong. Again, fantastic game. But for a sequel, I definitely need more of that complexity. And it's kind of a shame, too, because a lot of levels in Astrobot, you get like a gimmicky power-up, kind of like Mario Sunshine, if you remember that. Or if you had the backpack with the water, and like you could either use the spray or the hose, like the jetpack, which Astrobot has built in and stuff like that. You get like a gimmick power-up, and some of those are really cool, but some of them only come up in like one stage, and you're like, you developed an entire mechanic for one stage and you never revisited it. It's just like, oh, okay, like, sure, whatever. But again, fantastic game. Definitely recommend you play it at some point if you like any 3D platformers. It's just, for me, I want more of that, like, instead of being wide, I want it to be deep in terms of like, hey, like, this is what a pro Astrobot speedrunner is going to look like versus like, hey, like, these two people have to go through the gate, like, the same level the same way. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, that's the fun part about Mario. Like, that's where it makes it so great, because you can be just a basic player or you can be a speedrunner, and you can both get through the level.
Yeah.
It's different, like, there's different depths of the game. I get it. Like, that's exactly what Mario's so good at. Yep. So. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
No. Okay. Mike?
I'm still playing the WWE 2K24.
2K.
Yeah, more downloads, more alterations to different characters. I got lots of nonsense, but I also have played the My Rise a bit now, which is fine. It's just fine. It's long. It's longer than I thought it would be, but it's okay.
All right. Sounds good. Let's get into some news then. If you have anything, let's see. What else we got here? What do we got?
Start off with Game
We got a lot of news. We got the Game Awards. Yeah, let's just talk off with the game nominees. Talked about it in the preview here, like in our start. The Game Awards nominees came out yesterday. Previously, it was announced by Jeff Keighley that remasters and DLC counts for of the years. So let me give you guys a list, and we can break it down. The nominees for Game of the Year: Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, which I feel like if they didn't nominate that, would have had like a revolt out there. People would have been pissed. I don't know why. Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, FF7 Rebirth, and Metaphor Fantasio, whatever it is. So that's the Metaphor game we talked about on this podcast. Actually, I've been playing a lot of these, which is cool.
I haven't played any of them.
I do, like, look, I don't want to take anything away from the Erdtree, and I know it's supposed to be pretty beefy, but I do feel like that should not be nominated. I feel like there's other games out there that should have been nominated as Game of the Year.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. I played Erdtree. Yeah. I liked Erdtree.
I know. I want to get your opinion. That's why I was bringing it up. Like, you do agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, it's a great DLC. I just don't understand why you didn't just make best ongoing DLC game or best DLC.
I thought they had best ongoing game.
They do. Like I think Final Fantasy won it one year
for Cyberpunk.
Yeah, Cyberpunk won it.
They gave it to Cyberpunk last year.
So it's like, it's so weird that like this year they revised the rules, and it just feels like, again, I guess this is partially tinfoil hat theory because we can't prove this because none of us were in the room when fucking Jeff Keighley decided this shit. But it just feels like the rules were altered specifically to cater towards Shadow of the Erdtree. And I don't know if it's like more of a business decision because Jeff, I believe Elden Ring or Game Awards is where Elden Ring first debuted, period. Like years and years ago. I could be wrong with that. But like, to me, it just feels like, hey, we need Elden Ring to win again so we can justify the next Miyazaki project getting revealed here as well, right? So it's just super weird to me. Again, like any other year, you like it probably wouldn't as made as big of a stink, but like when it's like,
but even then, there's always a lot of games, and sure, you brought up a good part. It's not really not really ongoing. It's a one-off DLC. I don't know where you would put it in a
so
category.
yeah, just make a separate. You have
Make a
best
best
ongoing
DLC
for like
category.
MMOs or whatever.
Listen, that,
Best DLC.
so was Phantom Liberty last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
got the ongoing.
But like, I just feel like again, there's just so many great games out there. There's no way you couldn't fill up this with more nominees, and it doesn't make sense why that was left. Like even remasters, like Silent Hill 2, stuff like there's like games out there that we missed that are just
yeah, like Silent Hill 2, absolutely.
I
was surprised it wasn't on this.
Like
list.
a Dragon. Like a Dragon could have been on this.
Yeah, Like a Dragon. Yeah, I'm a little surprised it didn't make it. It was very early in the year.
It doesn't matter. It shouldn't be biased to that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's.
Well, primacy
again,
recency, but this time it was recency.
Yeah. I mean, again, like the other games, I can't knock for having them on the list. I just
so it is weird. Like we could slice it different ways. Like so, back to your Black Myth Wukong thing. Yeah. Like to me, that is the other outlier in this list, right?
Sure,
at least the first, like Erdtree reviewed well, absolutely, but it's DLC. It's not it's not its own brand new game. And the thing about that pisses me off about Erdtree, right? Further is that it's not like, hey, you can buy just the DLC, you can access it from its own thing. It's not like Miles Morales, right? It's not like the Uncharted one, Lost Legacy. I think I didn't play it, but I know whatever. It's not like Xenoblade 2 DLC where like you could just buy that and its own thing. It's completely separate from the game. It's literally Shadow of the Erdtree says you have to buy, own, and play the original base game, and have to progress like halfway to 75%, depending on because it's an open world, before you can even access the DLC. So I'm just like, how are you telling me this is a new game when it's like, oh, well, the prerequisite for this game of the year nominee is you need to buy the fucking base game and play 40, 50 hours of that. I'm like, what? What are you fucking talking about? That's dumb as hell. Like, it's just baffling. But anyway, the other outlier here to me is Black Myth Wukong, because even from the other angle, like review perspective, like it reviewed fine, right? Like I don't want to take away anything from the studio. I think it got like an 80
it
low
was
80
surprise.
something.
It was definitely like a surprise.
It was a surprise, absolutely.
Yeah.
But to have that included here, it does feel like it was kind of like just that we need to make sure we don't have an uprising on our hands, right? Because
I did
a lot of fans
read
of that.
Something that said that was like the lowest rated nominee that's made it in I don't know how long.
I mean, you're in like this is not a knock on that game whatsoever, but the Veilguard has been ranked about the same, and it's like you're in the same category here then. So it's like what made that more than the Veilguard?
Right.
So
it is weird, and I feel like if they wanted to do that, like honor Wukong for what it was, like just have like a best debut, right? Like best debut of a new studio or something like that, because that's their first game, just be like, hey, this is awesome for like you're like, this is the first game this publishers or this dev team has ever released. I'd be like, holy shit, man.
Yeah,
props to you.
I mean, they did a great job with it, and like a sequel could be. I can't wait to see what that's going to be, because again, we talk about how good they can refine it.
Yeah.
I think just to give them a nomination was the key here. I think they just want to get them recognized as a great studio and nominate them, but because they're not going to win it, it's just going to be, in my opinion, it's down to like Astrobot had a lot of following. Final Fantasy VII is probably the winner of it all, but Astrobot's and actually Balatro might be there too, but I don't see Metaphor taking it. I don't see Elden Ring unless like you said, it's conspiracy theory. Maybe they're trying to push that, but that would be like. I would be upset if a DLC won Game of the Year.
No, I'd be pissed.
Nominated, not. I'm kind of like upset with it, but I'm not. I'm gonna let go.
The remakes were cool with though, right?
Remasters. Remasters. I mean, they're like, it's a remake or remaster. It's remake. It's remake. So they've completely.
I know.
The thing is like they've made a new product entirely. Like it's completely new. This game. It's familiar, but it's new. It's like when you saw Resident Evil 2, like, oh yeah, it's awesome to see all that stuff, but it's completely redone. So they spent the time. They didn't just put a fresh coat of paint on it and call it a
right. Remaster is like Last of Us Part 1 on PS5. It's like that. Yeah. Like, sure, it looks better and the graphics are fancier.
That's all they did.
Like,
you're
not You're not really significant.
They ran it through
Yeah.
They ran it through a program and cleaned it up. That's all they did. You know,
Yeah.
this one they've spent time on, and they deserve to be on there. I'm sorry, they do. But the DLC definitely not. Like that's you can
No.
argue you could argue remakes. I get it, but like I don't agree with you, but you could. DLC, I can't see how you can
No.
argue it.
It just
So.
in a way, to me, it's more of a slap in the face to the games that didn't get nominated at all.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
Because
what I mean.
like
So
Yeah,
Like-
so Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is at 89 Metascore.
yeah, that's great.
was Dragon's Dogma 2, didn't that come out this year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that like one of the top games? I
Yeah, one of the best selling games of the year for
Yeah.
sure.
like how is that not on there? I feel like that's a huge omittance from there. Stellar Blade sold great.
Mhm.
Helldivers 2
Yeah,
was
Helldivers 2.
insane.
Yeah.
There's so many great games out there they just left. I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot. Hades 2.
Oh,
There's a lot of games out there.
Wukong is at 81
Yeah. There you
Metascore.
go.
But
Interesting.
anyways, there's your nominees. We'll talk more about it as we get to December for that. Let's see. Other news. We've got some Hearthstone news, which is interesting. Hearthstone is it's a crossover collaboration, I guess. Crossover. Starcraft with coming in what is it? January 2025. So you get Zerg, Protoss, and Terran. So get cards from Starcraft. A new version of Starcraft, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
No, don't say that. We can say this is the only
The
way
only
that
version we're
they
ever
would
gonna get?
greenlight another StarCraft project is because it's packaged into a new game. But I mean, the thing is, like, I'm so disenfranchised with Blizzard anything these days that like this has almost nothing for me. But this, like, if you guys remember, I think we were all there at the PAX where Hearthstone debuted, like years and years ago. Because like we were like, why is Blizzard showing up at PAX East? That's weird as fuck, right? Like PAX West, you would understand. PAX East is kind of like, oh, that's weird. But they showed off Hearthstone. We're all laughing about it. We're like, what? A fucking virtual card game? Okay. But to me, like, it felt like that's what it should have been from day one. Like, why are you limiting this to just the World of Warcraft universe? Why aren't you opening it to all of Blizzard? Right? Yeah. All the Blizzard IPs and stuff like that. So for this to happen, it's just kind of funny because I'm just like, I've been, like, I said this years, like, when you first came up with this fucking idea. Like, why are you limiting yourself here? And it's like, here we are 10 years later, and
finally opening it up.
And the thing is, it's funny because like I can draw parallels to Magic the Gathering. Our one friend Nick, you know, he's been making fun of Magic because it's like, oh, it's Fortnite now. It's like, oh, because they're doing so many crossovers, and I'm like, well, here you go. Like, here's Hearthstone crossover now. Blizzard ran out of ideas. You know, they're like, shit, making sets is hard. Like after 10 years, it's like, oh crap, we ran out of ideas. Well, let's just go to space, StarCraft.
And we'll see.
Good luck to them and the people that play it.
luck.
Not me.
Yeah. Let's see. What is this? Minecraft enters the real world with $110 million global theme park deal.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking hotels, stores, starting in the UK and the US, Microsoft, merchandising. Right?
Yep. Once again, Microsoft, something that Nintendo was doing was like, shit, we can do that.
Want a piece? And it's Minecraft. It's perfect for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is a good business decision. Like, I am happy to criticize Microsoft over anything, literally anything. But this is a good business decision. We will. We will. Oh God, we will, Jim. We will.
I started with the nice news for them first, because it's the low hanging fruit. You got to do it. You're gonna make money. They're in the business for making money.
Yeah, and I mean, really, this is just like. It's just good for everybody, right? Because like you're making the fans / the kids happy. Microsoft has another revenue stream. Whatever park they partnered with, I forget the name. It's in the article and stuff like that. They're happy because they're making money, and it's like such like low hanging fruit, like you said, Jim. Where it's just like, hey, we don't have expertise in making parks. We'll just partner up with this team, and we'll just approve. Like, should this block be an earth block or should it be a stone block? Right? Like, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. So, Phil Spencer was also recently in the news talking about things. And, he mentioned that the consoles, there's still going to be future consoles coming from Microsoft, including a handheld, which we talked about a couple weeks ago, being rumored. That's pretty far off, he did say. But we are going to have future consoles from Microsoft, which is interesting. Not interesting, I guess, but expected, I hope. However, he would not rule out any Xbox exclusive coming to PlayStation. There are no red lines, is what he has now said.
That's weird.
No, like
that's so weird because I remember specifically the language in that one couch podcast thing they streamed. They're like, Starfield is not one of the 4 titles. Remember that?
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Well, no, I know, but like I'm just again illustrating how Phil's. Oh, that's Jim. Jim's back. Once again, this is just another example of Phil using very specific corporatese like lingo to be like, I didn't lie, but you know, I didn't really tell the truth either.
Sorry about that. My feed lagged and I didn't hear your comments, but go on. So I'll catch up.
Yeah, it is almost like, again, no one's really making him say these things.
No, he's almost like James Gunn, you know?
Stop. Yeah. That was kind of what I was saying. He's James Gunning it a little bit here.
Yeah. He is kind of just running things, but like just running his mouth with it. But I just like, I mean, I'm happy. I'm fine with everything happening. It's just going to be a weird new world. But it was weird. If you remember back, it was weird when Sega went third party. Like, it was really weird getting that first experience of Sega on a Nintendo console or something like that. It was really weird.
I'm not happy because I want, not
you still didn't get it?
Sony.
Oh yeah.
You don't understand.
So we're gonna have arrogant Sony. Yeah.
We've already had it, and when they don't have real competition in the same space, they just do bullshit like they've been doing. So, no, I'm not happy with this.
I mean, I get to play the games. I want to play when I want to play them, wherever I want to play them. Like, I do like their new ad. Like, this is an Xbox ad. I thought that was a cool idea for them. Give them some credit here. But
they should have included a PlayStation in there.
I'm sure if Sony would have approved that, they would have.
Yeah. I bet you they would have. I bet you're not wrong there. So, I don't know. I just feel like Halo is going to be weird on the PS5.
Nobody's even like. Here's the thing. I don't think people are ever going to care when Halo comes to Xbox. It's no longer the big thing. Like, Call of Duty's killed it. Fortnite's killed it. Apex Legends killed it. Like, Overwatch.
I would argue bringing it out on PS6 would help it.
No, 100%. 100%. It would help
drive up the hype.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, like we're talking about, like, the series went from being an all-time high, like, hey, this is one of the top new IPs of the industry, to a new Halo game came out? Question mark? Like, that was literally the downfall in, what, 10 years? Not even? From Halo 4 to Halo 5 to Infinite? 10 years, maybe?
Yeah.
Infinite was a big deal when it came out. It just didn't retain what it was trying to do. And I mean, I just was playing Call of Duty 6. I still prefer Infinite's multiplayer, but...
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I'm just saying... they've got a long road ahead of them. But the one thing I did want to comment on was what you mentioned, Phil, saying that, we're definitely making an X console. And it's like, okay, well, but are you making a console after that? Because like I said, like, you can't just be like, I guess we should release another Xbox. You know, it's 2024 right now. I guess we should release another Xbox in 3 years. Let's whip up one together right now, guys. Like, it's no. Like, even before that Xbox shipped, Xbox Series S and X, they were already working on prototypes of the next gen hardware. You have to, because everything is so specialized and focused, and you need to work with vendors on chip supply, everything like that. Like, they needed to go one into the other, like, if not parallel or simultaneously and stuff like that. So yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that they were already invested in whatever the next Xbox is going to be called.
Definitely. Yeah.
The question I have is, there's another Xbox after that, because that is when I start to doubt that. I start to doubt that very heavily. And especially seeing this new ad where it's like, this is an Xbox. I'm like, I, for one, am seeing a specific writing on the wall where Microsoft just wants to be like, third parties, whoever it is, Steam, you want to make a fucking Xbox Steam Deck? Go ahead. You can fucking do it. We'll help you with whatever we need to do software-wise to get that running. Sony, you want to release an Xbox PlayStation? We'll help you fucking with that. Nintendo, you want to switch Xbox? We'll help you with that. Like, I feel Xbox just wants to be completely out of the hardware race, like, in terms of, like, we don't give a fuck anymore. And the handheld is the exception, because I feel handhelds are way cheaper, easier to produce, easier to ship. Smaller footprint and stuff like that. And it's just
they're gonna make it like a Steam Deck clone.
Yeah,
They're gonna make
exactly.
a Steam Deck clone, which makes perfect sense for them to do because
Right.
you want some of that money. So, again, good business decisions. Can't fault them for it because they're in the business for making money, and that's what they want to do. So, all right. Lastly, in the news, Sony is in the news talking about, this is a rumor, not confirmed yet. Looking at possibly buying media powerhouse Kodokawa, which is the studio behind Elden Ring.
Well, it's like
Owns the studio that made Elden Ring.
is the company that owns
Yeah,
From Software.
so they're the big company compared to
the parent company.
Yes.
But
So
From Software is just one of the companies they own. Just for further clarification here, what I really feel this is more of a play for the manga and anime companies that this company owns. Because you look just a couple years back, Sony invested by buying out Funimation. And just fucking close it right down. They're like, hey, we're the only anime streaming company asterisk dedicated, right? Because Netflix and Amazon, and even Max has their own anime stuff and whatnot. But this just is to help secure those properties because I feel like they see the welcome, like we own a certain percentage, we just need to tighten our grip as much as we can. Oh, and by the way, we get the From Software guys. By the way.
Maybe you get a bunch more games from them would be great.
We'll get anything but a Bloodborne.
I was gonna say, how would the excuse not be there for a Bloodborne 2? Like, how would it not be there if you own the company?
It's actual Sony stubborn. Like they're just like, nah, we don't want to.
Yeah, and I see it. Like, supporting the PS Vita for years. Like, it's just like, yeah, no.
I will.
What are you talking about?
I will say because it reminds me in Astrobot, there's a lot of cameos and stuff like that, and one of the cameos is like the main hunter from Bloodborne, and I just got angry. I got angry as soon as I saw that, and I know I know how I feel now because there was like a article that was trending a couple weeks ago about like somebody was like, yeah, we're celebrating Astrobot for the wrong reasons because all this is a graveyard of Sony games that don't exist anymore. And I'm like, yeah, 100%. Because like they show you the Hunter Astrobot, and I'm just like, I'm supposed to be happy right now. I'm supposed to be like, yeah, I fucking love Bloodborne. That's so cool. But instead, I'm just like, fuck Sony, fuck Sony, fuck Sony. Like,
yeah,
like this is like just getting blue ball. It's like, hey, we know you guys like Bloodborne, but we're not going to give it to you. We're not going to remaster. We're not going to give you a sequel. Fuck you. Fuck you. We're going to put him in our game, though, as a costume. Yeah. Fuck you.
We recognize it exists.
Yeah, we know it exists. We know you want this. We're not going to shit about it, though. Fuck off.
Yeah.
So it made me
nostalgia.
We'll see. We'll see if this rumor comes to fruition. Like Tony said, it does seem like it's going to.
It was Reuters
yeah,
reporting it. So that's it's not guaranteed, but if they're reporting it, it's like there's definitely at least
if they picked it up. There's
smoke.
Yeah. So, all right.
I don't think it's good though. I just want to say that for the record, I am 100% against acquisitions like this. So
this would also secure their, like you said, the anime is a bigger part, and it's like you shouldn't have a monopoly on streaming anime. Like that's not something cool to. Yeah,
absolutely agree.
Yeah. All right, it's going to wrap up this episode, folks, of the Gamecast. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, we're live on Twitch Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. If you missed the live broadcast, all the stuff's over on YouTube, so please subscribe there and give us a comment over there if you're watching. We like to hear from you guys. Give us a like. See you guys next week. We are out.